Hey there, it's Adrian. I'm the founder of Groundhogg. You are about to watch a customer call, a specialized training call that we do live a couple times a month with our customers. If you'd like to participate in these calls live, make sure that you sign up for a license. Any of these licenses, any of our paid plans will get you into the calls. You are free to participate and ask questions during those calls, some of which are included in this recording. And don't forget that if you found this recording useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Enjoy. Welcome. Hi, my name is Adrian. I'm the founder of Groundhogg, and today we're talking about WooCommerce Essentials. So these are all the flows. These are all the segmentation tricks. These are all the tagging things that you're going to want to know about the WooCommerce integration that we have with Groundhogg. Without further ado, let's hop into sort of my top recommendations that you have implemented when using WooCommerce with Groundhogg. So I want to start off with flows because that's always what we want to do with Groundhogg is start creating these automations and these flows that make things easier for us. So I'm going to hop over to our flows and I have a couple examples already pre-set up here, but I'm going to go to the add new because I literally just finished redoing all of the WooCommerce flow templates for our new flow editor. And so those are all there now. So we have a WooCommerce abandoned cart template, a request review template, and a subscribe and send discount template. So if you have no idea what to do when starting off with WooCommerce, you can always come here and use one of these templates to sort of get you started. You can find them. If you can't find them, just type in Woo into the search there. And that should allow you to go ahead and activate those. But I'm going to go back to the templates that I already have pre-prepared, which we got a few of them. I am going to start off with our, which funnily enough, there isn't an example of. So let's go install it, the abandoned cart template. If you don't have abandoned cart, you are de facto missing out on an opportunity. So the way that abandoned cart works is if someone adds a product to their cart and they clicked a link from an email, so they have the tracking link, or if they get to the stage of entering their email address on the checkout form, Groundhogg can listen for that and will keep track of the items that they have in their cart. So when someone abandons their cart, we basically want to be able to recapture that opportunity to resell them on whatever it is that they had in their cart, right? So if you don't have this, you're missing an opportunity. Stats show that typically like an abandoned cart sequence can get you up to 10% of your lost revenue. And I think there is like an abandoned cart report in WooCommerce. So you might want to go check that out to see exactly how much revenue it is that you're leaving on the table. The nice thing about our abandoned cart feature versus like other tools is that you can actually filter the specifics of the cart contents. So you can create different abandoned cart flows tailored for different products. So you can tailor by product or tailor by category. So if you have like courses versus maybe like shipped products that you're selling, you could have different flows or different emails based on the products that they had in their cart, as well as the cart value. So if someone abandons the cart with like a high ticket product, that deserves maybe a different conversation than a low ticket product. So like if you're selling something that's like a couple $1,000s and they abandon that process, then maybe what you want to do is like, hey, listen, like let's get a call going. Here's a link to book a calendar, versus if it's just like under $100, that's not necessarily something that you want to spend a whole lot of time on. So you just want to do that automated, here's a discount code, and hopefully we're going to recapture that revenue. So the first thing that we do after they abandon the cart is we're going to wait for a little bit because, you know, sometimes their mom calls and they just got to talk to their mom for a little bit, or, you know, their dog gets sick or whatever. So we're just going to give them a little bit of a grace period before we start hammering them with whatever action or call to action or whatchamacallit, discount that we want to provide to them. And then we get to our first email, and this is our first sort of gentle nudge. And there's a few things going on here. So number one, we notice that you left your cart behind. We understand stuff happens. We're using a replacement code to add the WooCommerce cart contents. And we also have this restore cart URL replacement code. So both of those are available if you click the little guy here under replacements and you can type or just look for the WooCommerce section. So we have the cart URL, the restored cart URL, the cart contents, and we get into like the generating discount code stuff, which I'll get into a little bit later. As well as their recently purchased items if they just make a purchase and you want to merge that into an email. But for here, all we need is cart contents as well as the restore cart URL. The nice thing about Groundhogg, again, in this case, is that we are storing the cart contents in their contact record. So if they use that restore cart URL on any device, let's say they start shopping on their desktop, but then they see this email on their phone. If they restore the cart from their phone, they are going to basically be able to restart or complete the process, the checkout process on their phone, and they don't have to go and add all of those things back to their cart. We know what was in their cart, so we're going to restore their cart for them on whatever device that they actually click that link from. So that's pretty cool. Then we're going to wait another day, and then we're going to basically send that exact same email a second time, but just with a little bit of tweaked copy. What I've also done in this situation is I've set it to show up as a reply to the previous email. This works if you're using any of our API email integrations. So we send this first email, and then this second email is going to show up as a reply. Replies often tend to appear in the main inbox rather than like the promotions or the updates folder. Sometimes it depends. But we've been seeing good results using the reply feature. So it shows up as a thread, and people typically tend to look into threads more often than if it's just like a standalone promotional email. Something to consider either in this context or in any other context where you're sort of sending a series of prompts or reminders, that the thread tends to perform really well in terms of opens and conversions. Speaking of conversions, we only have 2 emails, but of course you could go ahead and you could add as many emails in a sequence as you want to, and test out the different spacing and whatnot. If you wanted to test out the spacing, of course, you could use our A/B split test feature and then build out sort of different types of email flows and spacings within here and see which one works. I'm not going to take time to demonstrate that now, but it's possible. It's there for you to do. And then finally, we have 2 different triggers. We have our empty cart trigger, and then we have our new order trigger. So when either of these things happen, it's going to pull them out from wherever they are in the flow. So if they're up here and they actually place that order, then they stop the flow. And we're going to make sure that this is enabled. Track conversion when triggered. And what that's going to do is that's going to give us a nice conversion rate on the report page to see are our emails actually performing. And if you do that split test thing that I mentioned, it also uses the flow conversion rate to inform the performance of whatever branch of the split test that you wanted to test. And we also have whenever they empty their cart. So if we did all this and then they click the recovery cart link, and then rather than checking out, they empty their cart, boohoo, we lost that. That's okay. It happens. We're also going to stop prompting them, and we can send them a different email here, which is like, hey, looks like you're not ready to check out today. No worries. Let's stay in touch. Maybe provide an offer here. It's really up to you about you want to do there. And you can have like a last ditch attempt. So like, hey, we still know what was in your cart. You can click here if you're, if you feel badly, or if you want to just like maybe go ahead and do it anyway. What's not in here is a discount code offer. It's really easy to add one. So the way that I like to do it is I like to use the edit custom field step first. And then I like to add the code in a custom field. And then just use that custom field over and over again rather than generate, because every time I use the replacement code, it generates a new one, and that's kind of lame. So what we're going to do is we are going to do blue discount, and then we're going to use the percent discount code. And what this does is this generates a unique single-use discount code for that contact record. The first number here is the amount, so 10%. And then in the brackets here is the period of which it is valid. So this would represent 7 days. This would represent 14 days. So it's in days. And if you wanted to limit it to specific product IDs, you would add brackets and then the IDs of the products that you wanted to restrict the discount for. And then finally, if you wanted the discount to just do free shipping, because that's something that you can do with WooCommerce, you would just put FS at the end, and that's free shipping. So those are some little tips for the discount. We're going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to copy this, and then in your email, you would add use code and then meta Woo discount, and then maybe if you want to put in like a default discount so it looks nice in the preview. So WC cart contents, and then we have that Woo discount, and then our email looks a little bit something like this. So cart is empty, use discount code. Well, it wouldn't say cart is empty if you actually had items in your cart. It would say, hey, there's cart contents here. Use the code my discount, and that would be replaced with the actual generated discount that we saved into the custom field earlier, and then click on the link to go to the cart.
Hi, Adrian. Hello, everybody. I'm Okono. And I just was wondering with that free shipping parameter, what if we wanted to give somebody just free shipping? Could we leave the percentage empty and just have the time and free shipping?
Yeah,
Okay.
you would just, so it would just be that and then FS. Well, actually, it would be. I guess it wouldn't matter. Because there's also the flat discount. So there's WP percent discount and WC flat discount, and I think either of those would work with just the free shipping parameter.
Okay, thank you. Very cool.
Right on. Thank you, Okono.
Hi, Adrian. Neil from Encode in the UK. Just wondering, you were saying about having the different flows depending on whether it's you're chasing £100 abandonment or 1,000.
Yeah.
Can you then maybe have two emails sent if it's 100, or then carry on the flow so they kind of drop out if it's after 100 and you stop bothering them? But if it's 1,000, they go somewhere else. They carry on with extra emails, or
Absolutely. So there's a couple of ways you could do that. You could break that out into separate flows if you wanted to. So the way that you actually determine what the cart value is here in the cart abandon trigger. And there's a filter here. When the cart value is, you could say greater than or equal to, let's say £1,000. I'm assuming you're pounds, right?
we are.
Yeah. So greater than or equal to £1,000. And then you could add another trigger over here, and we'll do cart abandoned. And then when less than or equal to, or it wouldn't be equal to, it'd be less than, it would be strictly less than, because we're doing greater than or equal to over there. And then you would put in the
taking them down the different routes.
Yeah, taking them down the different paths. Exactly.
Awesome.
And then, does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you'd have this branch, and then you'd have that branch for the under 1,000, and then you could tweak the emails and everything specifically designed for that. You could do it in side by side in sort of this format, or you could break them out into entirely different flows depending on how organized you wanted to keep it.
Excellent. Really powerful.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Neil?
Yeah, yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Neil. So I want to take you on a tour of another flow that I think is incredibly powerful. So that is our cross-sell and upsell flow. And this is just a really easy one. Like it's so you can do cross-sells and upsells in the moment using other plugins or WooCommerce add-ons or whatever. That's not really what Groundhogg does, but what Groundhogg excels at is back-end sales, right? So we have their information, we know their order history, we know the things that they buy, and if they don't buy it at the moment we want them to, then we want to be able to sell it to them or try to get them to upgrade at a later date. So for that, we have the cross-sell and upsell example. So in this particular example that we have here, we have a couple of different categories of product. We have a home decor category. And what we want to do is we want to move them from home decor. Let's say you're Target or Walmart or something, and you buy a lamp. All right, well, we don't want you to just buy a lamp. We want you to buy a TV or like a new computer or something to go right next to that lamp that you bought. So if someone buys home decor, we want to get you into some electronics. So we have a timer here, and then essentially we just have a flyer kind of email here that includes some of the products that we have in any specific category that we have. So I could come in here and I could change this query here to products, which I have. And then I have a couple of different categories, electronics being one of those categories selected here. And so now we're checking for the condition. All right, if they have a new order that contains electronics after we sent that email, we can count that as a conversion. And you can see I have the track conversion when triggered here. Again, so someone buys home decor, we send them an email. We're like, all right, time to get you into some electronics. And then we're tracking whether or not they actually buy electronics as a result of that. Again, you could employ the discount codes strategy that I showed you briefly. You could add as many additional sort of pushes or prompts in addition to the one that I have here. But essentially, the concept is the same. Once they buy one thing of small value, we want to move them into something of larger value. If you only want this trigger or this flow to start on certain conditions, you are more than welcome to employ our conditional logic feature. And you could say, all right, well, what if they purchased electronics previously? We don't necessarily want to push electronics even more. We could add an exclude filter here, and we can exclude anybody that's purchased anything in electronics in, let's say, the last 90 days, right? So now anybody that's actually purchased electronics in the last 90 days, even if they purchase home decor, will not receive the prompts to go buy. So we can get really, really specific with which people we specifically want to target by combining our conditional logic add-on as well to add these filters onto these triggers. And that's cross-selling and upselling. Really, you can see it's like 4 steps. It's really easy to do, but can unlock a ton of revenue if you have sort of your customer journey mapped. A lot of marketers talk about the value ladder, right? You have sort of your loss leader products at the bottom. Those are low margin or no margin at all. And then you have your core product, and then you have your value maximizer products. Your core product's this thing that you sell like the most of and what you're most known for, but then you have something that's still a little bit higher tier. This is exactly what that's for. When someone gets in that loss leader, you're promoting that core product. When someone buys that core product, you're promoting that higher tier product if they're qualified for it. Definitely something that you should be doing. If not, if you only have one product, obviously this isn't as helpful for you, but maybe it might be worth thinking about what other products you can add to create an excuse to have this, because it is so powerful and unlocks so much revenue. All right, do we have any questions about cross-selling and upselling via email? Of course, you can also do it by text. I don't have SMS on this demo site right now, but SMS is also an opportunity and a channel for you to push these prompts. The last flow, there are more flows, but I can see that we're approaching the half-hour mark already. I want to get to Q&A because I'm sure everybody has some questions that they want to ask. So I want to follow up with the last flow, which is our request a review one. Definitely something that you should be doing if you're not doing. And this one is real easy. So it starts off with when someone buys something, right? So when they buy something, if that's not your point of value, so let's say they buy something, but their point of value is somewhere else. Like for us, it is like a successful support interaction where like we help them, they get the problem solved. They're like, all right, we're happy. Thank you. That's our sort of, that's one of our sort of value adds. But for a lot of like product-based e-commerce is point of delivery. So the value becomes at delivery of the product. If you know what your value sort of, or where the value is added in their customer journey, it's not necessarily always point of purchase. Sometimes it's point of delivery, sometimes it's point of support, sometimes it's like first usage of the product. It really depends, so think about it. But in this example, we're using point of sale, and then we're going to wait 7 days because delivery typically happens within that period of time. And then we also want to give them a little bit of time to actually use the product that we've delivered to them, or give them some time to consume that product if it's a digital product. And then we're going to send an email that's like, we're going to request a review. So let's look at this email and see what's going on. So, hey, you recently purchased these order items again. So, using that replacement code, recent order items to be like, hey, this is what you bought. How would you rate your experience so far? You could tweak this wording to best suit sort of your brand or the type of product that you are selling. And then we have 5 stars. These are just emojis, like literally just like the star emoji with a link on them. Really easy, like it's very straightforward. You don't have to get fancy with like images or anything. It's just the star emoji. It works on pretty much all devices, which is nice. And they're not hidden by images, so that's good. And then the other typical stuff. So I'm going to close this briefly, and we're going to go look at our triggers. So we have 2 triggers here. We have a 1 to 3 star trigger and a 4 to 5 star trigger. Both of these are the link click trigger here. And essentially how these work is it's a tracking link, and then you can choose where that redirects to. So you could redirect it to Google or Facebook or Trustpilot or a triage page, like if you wanted to redirect your problematic reviews to like, hey, book a call with us. We want to make sure that, you obviously had a bad interaction. How can we fix that? Like, we want to be able to do that. And then your 4 to 5 stars go to wherever you actually want to collect those reviews, or you can set them both to the same place. It's kind of up to you. Different review sites sort of have different terms and conditions on where you can send traffic. I know Google, it's pretty frowned upon to like direct negative reviews away from Google. I don't know how will they enforce that, but something to consider. So basically what we do is we take this tracking link, we redirect it to where we want to go, and then we are linking these actual emojis here. So if I click in, you'll actually see how that's linked to, that's our 4 to 5 star tracking link. And then this is our 1 to 3 star tracking link. So if they click 1 to 3, then they go to that trigger. If they click 4 to 5, then they go to the other one. You could just as easily create 5 or 10 different link triggers and track each one individually. I think that's not necessary and that's too much work, but it is something that you could do. And again, we are tracking a conversion when they click that 4 to 5 stars, because we're going to consider that like, hey, we want to know the percentage of people that, number one, go into this and leave a good review. You could also turn it on to the 1 to 3 star if you wanted to collect all reviews. So anyone that left a review. And then you could follow up with, additional emails like, hey, thanks for the great review. We really appreciate it. If they clicked 1 to 3 stars, you could send another prompt that's like, hey, something broke down. We're really sorry. How can we fix it? Like, what is it that we can do in order to make sure that you get the best experience possible? If you need a refund, we'll refund you. If it's not working for you, whatever. So there are opportunities here for additional communication after they leave either of those reviews. So you could send another email. Some people also opt to put in an additional feedback form. So here, let's put in a delay timer there, and we're going to drag this form down here. So if we could add like an additional like feedback field, and we can use the hosted URL of the form. And so if they click that 1 to 3 star link, we could send them to the forum to give you like, hey, what went wrong? Explain what happened. Let's make it right, and then continue on the journey from there. So lots of different opportunities, but the sort of main core of the flow is they buy something, we send that email, and then we're tracking what their response is. Last couple of sort of tips and tricks that I have, because we're approaching that sort of half-hour mark. I'm going to head over to contacts, and we're going to look at segmentation briefly, because this is probably the most overlooked part of the WooCommerce integration, is the fact that we have all of these awesome WooCommerce search filters. So number one is we want to be able to segment customers based on their order activity. Like if you're looking at your revenue forecast and you're like, okay, something's not right here, like maybe it's a little bit low, and you want to be like, all right, I want to reach out to our past customers that maybe need a top up on this product that they bought recently, or not necessarily recently, but haven't purchased recently. We can say, all right, we want to target, we're going to turn on exclude filters, and we want to target anyone that has not purchased a product in the last 90 days. So anyone who hasn't purchased in the last 3 months, we want to send those people an email. We want to reach out to them. We want to give them an opportunity to have a successful purchasing experience with us again. So we can go ahead and open that search, and then from here we can send a broadcast that contains an email with our offer. The exclude filters are so powerful with the WooCommerce because it allows us to target people that haven't done something that we want them to, versus only being able to target people that have done the thing recently. We could also equally target anyone that hasn't purchased. I mentioned electronics earlier. If they haven't purchased that high ticket item yet, let's go ahead and let's say we want to target anyone who hasn't purchased electronics maybe ever at any time, but they have purchased product in the last 90 days. So if they have purchased product in the last 90 days, but they've never purchased electronics, right? That tells us a couple things. Number one, that tells us that is an active, hot customer. They've already given us money. And as someone who's given us money is much more likely to give us more money than someone who has never given us money, right? So we want to target that person. And so we're specifying by our high ticket value items. So someone who has given us money recently, but hasn't bought the thing that is our maximum profit margin. So pairing those filters together gives us a really, really, really defined list of people that's going to be more likely to accept our offer than other people on the list. So this is such a super powerful way to think about segmentation, is playing with those filters on their purchase activity and their purchase history. Of course, if you don't have any purchases, then that's going to be kind of difficult if you're new. But once you sort of get purchases coming getting purchases coming through the door, this is going to unlock a lot of opportunity for you. And at any time, if you're doing this quite frequently, think about using the save search feature, and so that you can just pull up these searches over and over and over again, and they remain evergreen. Anything else that I want to show you in here? If you do have sort of like these customers, if you've been around for like a few years and you've been collecting money and selling products for more than a few years, you have two tiers of customers. You have sort of like the people who buy once, and then you have the people that keep buying every single year. Some of our highest value customers at Groundhogg have spent upwards of like $6,000-$7,000 already. And we've only been around we've been around for 8 years. Which is not insignificant, but when your product is like $600 a year, like we have some pretty high value clients, and we know that those clients require a different level of service and communication than maybe some of our newer and more inexperienced customers. And so we have a filter to track, all right, if their lifetime customer value is of a certain threshold, let's say greater than $2,000, we want to know who those high value customers are, right? Because those people deserve a higher level and a different level of communication than people who haven't spent any money at all, right? We need to take care of those people, and you should be taking care of those customers as well. And so definitely go check out the WooCommerce filters that we have there, because it's all about giving the right message to the right person at the right time. And that's what those filters are there for. All right. It looks like we're good. So thanks, everyone. I hope this was an informative session about my top tips for using Groundhogg with WooCommerce, segmentation, and just some of those flows to create valuable customer experiences that unlock more revenue potential and provide opportunities for customers to communicate with you through the review process. I think those are very powerful and essential if you don't have them already.